Hello, welcome back to HunterTuned. Today is super exciting, guys, because I'm working on a car for the first time with my own hoist. So the last couple days, me, Christian, Trevor, and Michael have all been out here working on installing this lift that I just bought for the shop. So as you guys can see, it is already up and running, fully functional. We have this T-type up on the lift right now, and I'm doing some work to it. We'll get to that in a minute, but I did want to kind of give you guys a rundown on what we've all done to install the hoist and yeah, give you kind of an overview of what we all did. So we started off, I actually got this hoist from a local shop in town here by me, and they had it for sale. They posted it on Facebook Marketplace, and I snagged it up within the first day it was posted. Guy said he had a bunch of interest on it, and whatever. I ended up getting the lift. I got there first, had it on, they loaded it on my trailer with a forklift. Came in 3 pieces, so it has the 2 beams that go straight up and down, and then it has a top piece that connects on the top of the hoist up there, which connects both beams together. So they loaded those onto the trailer with a forklift, and then I got back to the shop, and me and Christian alone, with no forklift, no nothing, muscled those frickin' I-beams off of my trailer.
Yeah.
That was fun, wasn't it?
You just had, well, yeah. I had fun because I am into math, and you just have to find the fulcrum point, and we were using the trailer. So
we were using the trailer to like push the beam to leverage it up. And then we got them standing, and then it took like 3 or 4 guys, and we all just kind of shimmied them into position where we wanted the hoist.
This side was right here.
Yeah, this is exactly, you could see the rust still from the bottom of the lift. So anyways, we had to maneuver the beams over to where we wanted to put the hoist. Now I'll insert that clip right now of us struggling. Gary, you got some water? Put some water on. Good.
They don't even deserve the title of the Stooges. Oh.
Ready? Right. Right. Left. So we're gonna do a whole bunch of left. Yeah. Righty, righty. Keep back from going on. Righty, righty. Go back. All right, so as you guys can see, we actually put the hoist, we maneuvered those beams over to where the guy that had this shop last actually had a hoist in this same spot. So there was actually already holes drilled into the concrete. You could see there was a couple studs they cut off, and we pretty much just went in the same exact spot, or very close to the spot where he had his hoist, just because we knew that the concrete was very level right here, instead of like if we were to put it, you know, farther that way or farther back or farther forward, it would have been on a lot more uneven concrete, and we would have had to shim the posts a lot more than we did. Actually, without shimming at all on this concrete, everything is level and perfect. So part of the reason we did that made it a little bit easier. But it was not easy to install this lift. I actually had 608 Garage's buddy Chris. He came up here. He's installed a bunch of lifts, and he came up here and helped us out. Fucking ducks over here. So he came over, we got some ladders, and we had to, you know, lift up. 2 guys had to walk up with the top piece there and bolt that into place. And it's on a slider, the top piece that connects the 2 I-beams together. That is on a slider. That needs to be positioned in a certain spot, so everything is symmetrical and whatever. This is actually an asymmetrical lift, which means that the posts do not sit completely parallel to each other. They actually are kicked off at an angle, and the arms are not, you know, sticking straight off of the post. So like I said, this is an asymmetrical style lift, I believe it's called, and then a symmetrical style is where they're straight across from each other. So yeah, anyways, this is a Challenger 9,000 pound capable hoist, four legs on it, 2 posts that go into the ground, and then we used 3/4 inch anchors into the concrete here. The concrete here is about 7 inches thick. In some spots it's like a foot thick, but where the hoist is, it's about 7. We used 6-inch anchors, or 5 3/4, whatever they are. Yeah, so we put those anchors in. We have 10 of them in currently. We still have to put 1 more in on each side, but we only bought a box of 10. So we have to do that yet, but we just wanted to get this thing up and rolling. And yeah, so pretty much what we did, like I said, is we just hooked all that stuff up, and then we ran the cables. There's actually cables that go across the whole hoist here and actually hook up on little pulley systems down underneath. If I can show you here. So there's these little cables that actually hook up and go all the way up the hoist through the rams and all the way up to the top and go over the top of the hoist. So it equalizes the equalizes the arms, so one doesn't go higher than the other, kind of thing, because sometimes with hydraulic rams, one will pump up faster than the other, and that's kind of the job of those cables, is it keeps everything level, keeps it stationary, and keeps it safe. So the next thing, after we ran all those cables and everything, we actually had to grease up some of the arms. They were a little bit sticky. We had to adjust these little adjustment bolts right here to get this to slide how it should and be able to maneuver them under cars easily. So we did that, and then we had to wire this thing up. So we had this shop already had the hoist in here, and it had a breaker already installed into the fuse panel, or the breaker panel, whatever you want to call it, and it had a 220 breaker already labeled hoist. So we chased the wiring from there all the way up the walls and found out that we have a spot right over here where it comes out. So this actually wasn't hooked up at all. This was dead wiring, and it wasn't hooked up at the panel either. So we had to hook it up at the panel and then run the wires together here and then run up conduit all the way up on the ceiling and then over to the, what the fuck was that?
The sawzall.
Oh, so we had to run the conduit up, and then we connected it down into the lift here and then wired it all into the box in the corresponding spot. And then, yeah, we have the switch here, and then this is the release of the pressure in the system to lower the lift down. And then we have the locks here, which I still have to hook up, but I don't know if I'm actually going to hook them up. We are going to run air. We still have to plumb all the air system in the shop. We just have our compressor sitting over here. But I would like to make a compressor room like I was telling you guys, and then be able to have a, air hose that runs along the conduit there and then can hook up into here, so we have air actuated lifts, because all we would have to do is push this button and it would release the locks, and we can just lower the car down that way. But for the time being, what I can do is I can just raise the car up, go release the lock on that side with like a screwdriver or socket or something like that, and then come over to this side and hold it while I lower the car down. It's really not that big of a deal to me right now. The lift is still fully functional, so not that big of a deal. But like I said, this is like literally a day's worth of work, and we've had this shop like a week. So it's crazy how far we've already come in the short amount of time that we've had this shop. So I'm extremely happy that we got this hoist. It is a pretty decent brand, and a lot of guys really like these hoists. So yeah, super happy with the purchase, and I'm sure it will help us out tremendously working on customer cars, and working on whatever the hell we want to work on, honestly. Pulling trannies in the Mustang is going to be a breeze. Doing rear end work, anything really underneath the car exhaust. Doing suspension parts, anything like that is going to be just so much easier. It was a little bit, I'm just a little bit nervous about all this stuff still, because it's new to me, and a lot of this stuff isn't cheap. So I mean, I don't make a shitload of money, so this is like, it's stressful to buy all this stuff, but man, I'm really hoping it pays off in the end, and hopefully we can just bring in more work, do more customer stuff, have more fun, and less stress. Working on stuff is always a good thing. So anyways, without further ado, there's the lift, guys. Leave a thumbs up on this video. that you enjoy our new hoist, and we'll be able to show a lot more in-depth stuff on videos now that we can literally just stand under the fucking car.
Not have to be all crammed to the light and the camera and showing everybody.
Yeah, exactly. So Christian is not exactly the shortest guy in the world.
No, I'm 6 foot.
Yeah.
And I can walk clear under, well, besides the dick.
Not the rear end. You can't walk under the rear end, but we can literally just walk straight under this damn
like
car.
Pulling trannies, easy.
Right.
There you go.
Yep. We'll just have to get a transmission jack.
Right.
I don't know if you guys recommend anything I should buy. I want to get like an oil drain thing and, you know, like a fluid container that can, on a hoist, it's like a really tall fluid container. I want to get one of those, and then obviously a transmission jack at some point, I would think. Other than that, yeah, I'm fucking stoked. So we are under the Regal now, the T-type that I've been working on, and kind of just going over this thing and seeing what's all going on with it. And we found out that the exhaust is actually like 2 1/4 or
like
2 1/2, maybe 2 1/2 OD piping. It has 2 mufflers on it, and then it comes out to tailpipes all the way out the back of the car here. And while it would probably work, this guy wants to make some good power. And I don't know if this exhaust, you guys know that we've had a lot of problems with cars in the past where they have a choked up exhaust and they just can't, the turbo can't breathe how it should when you have all this exhaust under the car, especially with mufflers. That's a killer. I know my truck makes like literally 100 more horsepower without the muffler installed, and it actually makes more boost with the muffler deleted than it does with the muffler installed. With the muffler installed, it makes like 3 or 4 pounds, and then with the muffler deleted, it makes like 7. So we actually had to take the cutout. This car had a cutout that wasn't hooked up at all, and the guy actually wanted me to remove this exhaust or just like disconnect it from the downpipe so he can use this exhaust on his other Grand National, which is like an actual Grand National, not molested like this one. So he's going to put this exhaust on that car and then run a fender exit or a hood exit on this. But for the time being, so we can tune it, I told him we're going to have to chop the exhaust off or, you know, open the exhaust up somehow. And we just got the okay to just cut off the section here so we can run open downpipe for now, which will end up making more power and make the engine happier. So there is some other things that we're going over. We're just kind of checking everything over. Obviously, now that we have a lift, we can do all this stuff. We're going through just kind of checking little odds and ends, checking bolts here and there. We do notice that we have a little bit of a transmission leak coming from somewhere. I'm not exactly sure where it's coming from. Did notice we have a PTC converter in this thing, and yeah, the diff has a brace on it, a Jegs brace. I don't know what else is done to it. It has a couple little bit sketchy transmission lines and stuff here, but you know, it is what it is. It still works, I guess. And yeah, so we're just checking over wastegate lines, all the routing here. Gonna make sure this car is good to go before we tune it. So we're gonna put this thing back down on the ground here and show you guys what we fixed on the alternator, because this car actually came in. The main reason it came in is because the alternator was not charging the battery, and every time you'd run it, the battery would go dead. So I already fixed it, and we went to the junkyard, got a couple alternators, and turns out it wasn't the alternator at all. It was actually a wiring issue, and I'm gonna show you what the problem was.
Guys, and when Hunter is over there messing with that thing, I am over here. We got the rear end of the G-body jacked up, and I am siphoning some gas out of it because Hunter is such a great friend, and none of his shit runs on pump gas, and the S10 does right now. So some gas from this thing into there will be all good. But real quick, I just wanted to give a shout out to Adam Geske. Messaged me on Facebook and sent me out some Dirty Dingo LS2S10 second gen mounts. So that's really cool. Thank you. He sent in some good Jeg stickers, and like I said on my post on Facebook, all throughout high school, I always wanted to be a cool kid and rock a Jeg sticker. But now that Jeg sells Dirty Dingo mounts, I feel like I can put them on the truck. So thank you again. That's awesome. We're gonna be getting that thing pretty soon in here in the S10. I just have to go take my transmission up and go through it a little bit. And I need a dipstick. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, the dipstick broke off I got that out. Checked. When I pulled the pan off, I checked, took the windage tray off, made sure that what rods it had in it, and from what I can tell, the pictures comparing them online, it's got Gen 4 rods in it. So that's pretty dope. Pretty dope. I don't know about yours.
Oh, fuck mine. I don't care. I'm going to run it no matter what.
Right. Yeah, no, that was one thing when we were getting these. We were like, oh, well, you know, who's running what motor? And we were going to crack them open. But then I said that I wanted this one. Oh, because it had coils on it. I think it was what it was. It had coils and injectors, something like that. But injectors are getting decapped, maybe right now. I think I'm going to run it all motor for a little bit, and then in spring probably toss a turbo on it or something. But yeah, the next clip will be Hunter working on something.
Alrighty guys, so working on the Regal here, and we got the battery charging and the alternator working. And the issue with what was going on with the alternator is they actually had the signal wire, the exciting wire, going to the wrong pin on the plug here. So we actually just had to depin the plug. This is a single wire activation setup. So we have to run, if you guys look at the plug this way with the tab on the back side of it, it's got to be the second from the right. And it was actually in the one to the left of where it is now, and it was not doing anything. The alternator wasn't getting excited, and now when I switch that wire over, it charges 14.2, 14.5 volts all day long. So that is good. We got the exhaust off, and now I'm just fixing up some intercooler piping on this car. All these pipes were actually loose on the turbo side of things. The cold side over there to the motor was all tight. But this side, there was a couple couplers that were really loose, and I had to just kind of redo the piping over here a little bit, move some couplers around, because the coupler over on the turbo here was actually all the way on the turbo, and there was actually no coupler left for the piping to go into. So I had to move that coupler back, you know, just finesse some things on the intercooler piping here. Now we got the intercooler piping all situated. I just verified the wastegate routing from the turbo to the wastegate, made sure that was good. We put some coolant in it, about 3/4 of a gallon, I think. It was pretty low on antifreeze, and it was a quart low on oil, so we put some oil in it. And now we are going to start it up and maybe go through the tune. This car is running like a Duramax map sensor, I believe. Here's the map sensor. It is a 0261230185 part number, it looks like. Or maybe it's this part number, 125-92525. I think this is a Duramax sensor. I'm not 100% sure, but on the tuner, it is reading higher KPA than what is actually running. So I think it's like 30 KPA high. So we're gonna have to do some finesse on the ECU to get that map sensor to work, and if I can't, we'll probably just get a 3-bar EFI source sensor that actually goes with the Mega Squirt. That's what I usually recommend to people. They're super cheap. They're like 25 bucks or 30 bucks, and they work flawless. I run the same one on my truck, and I run the same one on my Mustang, and have had zero problems. But a lot of times when you're trying to mix sensors and stuff, the only reason I like the EFI source ones is because they work and they're consistent. So yeah, without further ado, we are going to get this thing fired up, see if it runs any different now that the intercooler stuff is tightened down and the battery is charging. I just kind of fired it for like 2 seconds earlier. Didn't really notice a whole lot, but might have to adjust the idle a little bit manually because this has a Holley high ram with a Sniper throttle body, it looks like, Holley Sniper throttle body. So we're gonna have to take an Allen head to the throttle here and actually adjust the idle manually until we can get it to idle on its own without holding the gas. So actually, before I even start it, I'm just going to do that quick because I already know it needs it. So we'll just grab some Allen wrenches here and see what we got going on. Too big. Too big. We're definitely going to have to get some lighting on that side of the hoist because I do notice that it's a lot darker over there than it is in the middle of the shop here. So I'm definitely going to have to hang some lights up over here. Not a big deal. Me and Christian actually might run to Walmart and get some air hose because my dad was saying something how they have air hose for like $8 with the ends already on it. So we might go to Walmart, see if they got any air hose and hook the compressors up tonight, and then run a hose reel and all that stuff like we were talking about. Might be doing that. So we're gonna give this thing a little bit. There we go. I gave it about a full turn and a half, something like that. We'll see how it runs. I haven't touched the gas and it's idling. It might need a little bit more. You find the happy spot with the throttle and you'll just know right away, like, okay, that's happy. That sounds good right now. And then another test I do is I'll just snap the throttle and make sure it doesn't die when it comes back down. Look at that. Way more throttle response, guys. Holy crap. And I really didn't even do anything to the tune other than fix a lot of these issues with the alternator and some other stuff. It is a little bit rich, but we can fix that. No big deal. This thing's running like a champ, guys. Hell yeah. All right, guys, we're going to finish this video off by showing you guys that we got a lot of our air system ran in the shop. Obviously, this isn't like some professional bullshit. This is just, you know, HunterTuned. But anyways, we did get the an air hose from Walmart. This was like $12 for a 50-foot roll. And we bought 2 rolls of it. And then these little fittings are also super nice, actually, from Walmart. But we did run a hose all the way from the compressor, which is going to be sitting in this corner over here. We have 2 compressors that are linked together, so we have a big capacity, and this little motor actually kicks ass. So we ran a T off of the compressor, and then we have 1 hose going up the wall, and then on the ceiling here up to the top of the lift. And then the air hose goes above the lift and then comes down to where I showed you guys. And that hooks into the air hose on the lift. So we just hook this guy up when we need to unhook the locks on the lift. And we actually verified it, everything works. Very happy with the purchase of this lift. Actually, everything works, no issues with it. So that is awesome. And then the other end of the T has another hose that goes up and goes on top of the ceiling here. We've been on the ladder a lot the last couple of days, haven't we, Christian?
Yeah.
And I'm not one for heights. But anyways, we ran the hose down, and then we mounted our hose reel right here, and then hooked up the air line into there. We still have a little bit of slack here. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'll probably just ball it up and then, you know, bolt it onto the wall or something for now. But we do have a hose reel. It reaches all the way to the door, so that is awesome. It's like 2 feet too short, but it reaches pretty damn far. So I can pump the tires up on the CRV way over here, or pump the tires up on this thing or whatever, or work on the lift with air easily accessible. So very happy with that. We're just pounding shit out here. I'm so happy. Everything is kind of coming together. Might have to hang up the conduit a little bit better up there. I might do that tomorrow. We'll see. But we're going to get out of here for the night. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. And if you did, drop a like. Smash the subscribe button if you haven't already. And yeah, we're going to probably come out here tomorrow and clean up a little bit and do some other small things. Get the Regal or the T-Type going out on the road. And then Christian wants to bring the S10 here and throw it on the hoist, which I do too, because I want to check that thing out and see what we're getting into for his LS swap. So, yeah.
And I blasted my seat through the fucking floor today.
Yeah, because it's rotted or what?
Oh, yeah.
Oof, might have to put a plate in there or something. So, yeah, anyways, have a great night and a better tomorrow, guys. We will see you later.
Deuces.